just had our very first theft from the stand. I saw a couple of cars come up this morning and drive off, and someone looked like they didn't grab anything, and then we've just gone up for one of them that we saw someone pull in and go, and then all of our jams were gone, and there was also a plant and a seedling gone as well, so they've obviously just grabbed what they could and left. I'm sort of hoping that the money might turn up from a direct transfer. Usually it's pretty instant these days, but every so often someone doesn't have OSCO, so it takes a little bit longer to come through. So hoping that's what it is, but it's looking like we've had our first theft, which sucks. It's been open three weeks now, and we haven't had a theft, so we knew it was going to happen eventually, but it's still a little bit disappointing because you know that they're not flogging jams because they're hungry. Like, they would have taken other food if they were just stealing because they were hungry. Anyway, what can you do?
You make me nervous. I think I might be hooked on you. All of the things you said to me, it seems like you like me too. We can take it slow, make sure we do this right. Canceled all my plans to be with you tonight. So just sit with me, talking to the night until the morning, building chemistry. I don't think I ever wanna go come closer next to me. Trying to find another way to say this, but I think we were meant to be. You make me anxious. I think I might be stuck on you. I love the things you did for me, it seems like you're dropping clues. There's no need to rush, so let's just take our time. Dropping everything, 'cause you're stuck on my mind. So just sit with me, talking to the night until the morning, building chemistry. I don't think I ever wanna go come closer next to me. Trying to find another way to say this, but I think we were.
So this morning looks fairly cool, which it kind of is. It's a little bit misty. I can feel a bit of moisture in the air, but it's going to be 28 degrees later on, so it's going to heat right up. And yesterday was a really hot day too, so I'm actually really shocked we've had this cool little snap here, which has made everything a lot more bearable. The few days before that we were getting so much rain, so there was times where I could come out and do some work. You might see behind me that we've changed what's going on in the garden beds here. So I did a little bit of work there, but it's been ridiculous trying to keep on top of weeds and trying to keep on top of the grass. Yesterday, while it was hot, I was able to give the lawn next to the house a bit of a go over, but our in-laws are away and I can't access the big mower that we use to mow the paddock, so the grass down there is just going insane at the moment. We really need to get our own, but we're not going to do that until we have somewhere to store it, so we're waiting on the shed. And we actually have some good news about the shed. The builder is telling us that later next week he's going to be here to make a start. Finally. It was meant to happen before Christmas. In fact, it was meant to happen quite some time before that, but things kept getting in the way. He got COVID before Christmas, which sucked for him and his family, I'm sure. And for us, it put back all of our plans that we had over Christmas because I was planning on kidding it out while I had time off. Along with the grass and weeds, the pumpkin patch is quite out of control at the moment. We're doing our best to keep on top of it, and I've sort of given up to an extent trying to control the grass that's growing up through it. I've sort of come up as close as I could with my mowing, but yeah, it's just going to be long grass in this area until it's time for it all to die back. I'm a little bit worried about the snakes in this area, so when it's really hot, I'm just staying away from it. But yeah, it's pretty exciting, and some of these are monsters already. Behind me here, where we're starting our flower farm section, is where the grass is by far the worst. It's probably up to my waist in some areas, which is crazy. So it's well beyond the push mower giving it a crack. So we're just sort of eagerly awaiting the return of the parentals so we can get that mowed and have access to the mower. So this area we planted sunflowers through here. We've got some zinnias going on over here. We've got some marigolds and cosmos that got planted well after the sunflowers and stuff through here. And then we started our back bed with a whole bunch of dahlias, and we were actually lucky enough that a local flower farmer named Angie was just so nice, and once she found us through our stand, she actually offered to give us a whole bunch. So we're very, very thankful that we've had all these tubers donated to us, and we're very, very excited to see how they pan out. I don't know how well you guys can hear that on the video, but the frogs are making noises from the dam. The dam has hardly any water in it, because it leaks, so when it's not been torrential too bad, it just ends up being dry. But yeah, the frogs are obviously enjoying it at the moment. For those of you paying attention to the tomato experiment that we started a little while back, I probably haven't been tracking it super cleanly to give you an update on timelines, and this probably doesn't seem as much turning red as what there actually really is, because we've had a customer that as soon as she realized we had tomatoes on the go has just been buying them all up, and I can't really keep up to how much she likes to get. Betty's a little bit upset with me because I keep selling the tomatoes before she's had a chance to eat them herself, but I reckon some of the ones in this patch here she'll be alright for. Because of it being really hot and then copping torrential rain, we've struggled with a few turning out like this, where it's split the tomatoes. They're alright still for us to eat here, but they're not really that great to put out at the stand. So this customer who's figured out that she can get tomatoes from us, she says that she doesn't mind them when they've just turned a little bit and they aren't fully ripe yet, because she knows that they'll ripen later. So she's even been taking the ones that just aren't turned properly yet and taking them home. So it's good for the dollars, but it's not as good for Betty wanting to eat them. And I'm not a huge fan of eating tomato. Love growing them, they smell amazing. I just don't like them texturally. So I don't really care about how many we save for ourselves. So I've just been selling them before we've had a chance to have any of our own. So you can see up the back here, I don't know if you can see very well, but this Granny Strong tomato has just really suffered. It was going really bad, and then I gave it some calcium and it really burst back to life, and it started producing. You can see that there's a couple of tomatoes on there, but then it just went bad again. So I think its stalk doesn't look very good. I think it struggled because it wasn't propped properly, and it moved a lot around with the wind when we copped some really bad winds. So it sort of seemed like it recovered when I put a thicker stake in. I had bamboo up kind of like these originally, with just some string around it, but that obviously wasn't enough for it. And so it got better when I put that in, but then it's just died off again. So I think it's just a lost cause, that one. So I think I'll get rid of that one. These two here that I've actually still using the bamboo on aren't doing very good either. I think that method just hasn't been enough to stop the wind moving things around too much, and the roots are not liking it at all. And I think because these buckets are a bit smaller, the roots haven't taken enough to stop that movement, and I think it's causing the most grief. So that one there has pretty big tomatoes going on it, but this one has sort of got nothing at all. So I reckon that it's probably just worth getting rid of that one as well. This one here has been staked pretty properly for a while. It's a moneymaker one, so things haven't turned, well actually there's a couple that are starting to turn now, but that's got a lot growing on it, so that's really cool. This rouge one here, again, it was struggling until I put a good prop in it. They all had sticks in them, well, small stakes in them to begin with, but obviously they outgrew them pretty quickly. Then up this end we've got the bigger pots for these ones, and they've been super prolific, so the granny's throwing and the moneymakers as well. And the moneymaker is aptly named because it's been producing tons that I've been able to sell. So I reckon that might be the goer going forward, just from a perspective of being able to produce enough to grow. The greenhouse is very much jungle right now, so you can see we've got our tomatoes here, tomato in the bucket there, behind them there is some capsicums in a bucket. Over here we've got capsicums through the back there, and then eggplant in the front, and there is also some cucumbers growing in the corner here. And then up the back I've got a lot of seedlings, and I've got seedlings on the ground here as well because we're just run out of space. But seedlings have been selling quite well, so we've been keeping on top of them. So in terms of how successful things have been growing in here, definitely the granny's throwings and romas here have been going quite well. This one here was going really well, and then suddenly it's just starting to have some issues, so I'm not quite sure what that's about. I think that the string on the bottom might be a bit tight, so I might just cut that off, but I don't know if that's the issue because it's the same on most of them. This one up the back here has been like that one outside, where it's just been like always a struggle. I think it's where we've got a bit of a block underneath, so it doesn't have as much room for growing its roots, so that might be the issue. And again, these ones were moving around a fair bit when we copped the wind, and I think that struggled with it. And speaking of moving around and causing grief, the one here in the tub, that's my first hydro, it's producing and it's looking pretty good. Its leaves poor in some areas and alright in others, but I think it struggles the most because just about every time I walk past it I bump it, which makes the roots kind of jiggle around a bit, and I don't think it likes it even though they're in the water and not in soil. The roots were starting to show through at the top here, so I've just created a little bit of plastic where I've just put more rocks in to cover it up so they're not hitting daylight with the roots. I'm unsure why that happened, because it wasn't always like that. The roots were growing down into the bucket, and maybe it's because of being moved around and jiggled a bit that they've just kind of split up a little bit. I'm really not sure, but I don't think that's caused it much good. So I think it struggled a little bit because of that, and I know definitely at that point there's flowers here that didn't pollinate at that time, so we've missed out a little bit there. But yeah, next time I do buckets I'm going to put them in an area where I'm not likely to bump them all the time. Like I just bumped the capsicums just now. The berry patch is going wild at the moment. It's a bit unruly, but it is looking pretty cool. I was looking back on some old thumbnails from when we actually created this bed, and it's really cool to see how much it's grown in the last sort of 10 months since we actually built it. These ones growing here are called sylvan berries. They were pretty much created by some people down in Sylvan, which is an area not too far from where I used to live in Melbourne, sort of up near the Dandenong Ranges. I'll put a bit of info here because it's actually really cool to read about what these berries are like.
Slow.
So we thought we had our first theft at the stand this week. It's been open for about 3 weeks now, a little bit less than 3 weeks, and we know it's going to happen at some point. Where we've got an honesty stand out there. Currently there's no cameras because we got a camera in, but we just felt like it might change the vibe of it. So until something happens, we're probably not going to install it. But we thought we'd had our first theft because I went out there just to water some of the plants that were out that area, and I realized all of the jams are being cleaned out. A few of the larger seedlings and a lot of the smaller seedlings were all gone, and there was no money left behind. I didn't get a PayPal message to say I'd got a deposit, and I checked my bank and there was no deposit in there, and I was just like, I know sometimes it takes a little while for money to come through in the banking apps, but usually it's pretty instant these days. But every so often I know there's a bit of drag, but I was hopeful that was it, but I'm like, I don't know, man. And it sort of 15 minutes went by, 20 minutes went by, and I'm just like, I think that's it. I think we've had our first theft. And the worst part about it was that we'd made our first batch of fig jam and there wasn't much. I think we had like maybe 2 large bottles and maybe 4 or 5 small bottles, and it was just like cleaned out, and I was really upset, but I'm like trying to keep it positive, being like, well, maybe the money will come through. And we went out for the day, and about half an hour later the money turned up in my account, and it was a $76 sale, and it was the best like single sale. It's the most dollar amount single sale that we'd had. So the vibe went from being like trying not to get too disappointed but feeling a little bit disappointed about it, to suddenly being excited that that was a huge sale for us. So yeah, so the fig jam hasn't lasted long. I think it lasted all of about 2 days before everything we'd made was gone. We've made the largest batches of apricot jam, and they're almost all gone now too. Our apricot trees are pretty much bare. We've got one tree that still has some on it, but they're looking a bit rough around the edges. But yeah, so we've gone through and harvested everything we can, and we've got some baskets in the kitchen that we're probably going to make some jam out of again. But we're a bit over making jam at the moment because it takes up all your time, and you have to stand there the whole time and watch it. But I do like how excited the people that come to our stand are about it, so I'm going to keep making it. But yeah, everything's been going really, really well out the front there. It's kind of been a dream. I think we've said this before in other videos. It's been a real dream to do that, and it's just so validating that people are really jumping on board. And I feel like it's actually helped us connect with some people around town. We're not super social. We haven't joined any sports teams or anything since we've moved here. So I know people through work, but we haven't been like going to the pub to hang out or anything like that. So it's been a little bit insular since we've been here, and it feels like it's been a way to connect with the community, which has been kind of unexpected but really awesome. Like I said, we met Angie, who runs the flower farm in town, which I didn't even know existed until she commented or liked one of our posts, I think, that we did on a local Facebook group about the stand. And I've been able to go see her house, and it's amazing. It's tucked away behind a house in a residential street, and she's got so much going on there, and it's really bloody adorable. And then we've obviously just met other people that have come and gone, and it's just really nice to see the support that we've been gathering from the local community about it, because we weren't sure if they'd be into it. But they really have. And then we've also realised that there's people out there that actually watch our YouTube channel that live around here, and they didn't know that we were here, and obviously we didn't know they were here. So it's been quite nice. We're going to run a competition soon to sort of bring a little bit more awareness to the stand. So what we'll get you to do is jump over to Instagram, find our Instagram page, which is Zoom and Betty, so it's Zoom_and_Betty, and give us a like there. What we're going to get people to do is actually come to the stand. So if you live in Victoria or you're driving through here and you happen to be in the Western region, we're not too far from the Grampians, so it's a brilliant area to go for a day trip. Definitely to camp if you can stay much longer, but even for a day trip, it's a really awesome area. But what we're going to get people to do is take a photo of them at our stand and post it on their socials and tag our Instagram page, and we're going to do some sort of giveaway. So I'll do another video about that at some point, but if you want to jump on over to our Instagram page and give us a like, Betty runs the Instagram page, and I usually do the YouTube stuff, which is pretty obvious I think by now for anyone who's been watching us for a bit. We'll make a big deal over that at some point. And let you know what the prize will be. So we'll pick someone who's tagged us and do a bit of a giveaway. So we'll have a few more videos coming up. We've got some plans to do out near down the flower farm. We've also got the shed build that should be happening soon. But what I was thinking was we're coming up to the end of our second year homesteading, and that's probably a really good time for you to go back and check out this video, which is what we talked about after completing our first year homesteading and the things we learned then. So we did a little bit then about talking about the things that we wanted to achieve over the next year. So check this video out and see how many things we ticked off the list. We'll see you next time. Bye.